Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're continuing with the next process that is involved in aerobic respiration, which is the Krebs cycle. Also known as the citric acid cycle, we're now going to be learning about this part of aerobic respiration. So this is after link reaction, we're going to be using the acetyl CoA molecule, and we're going to generate some ATP and also some NADH. Right, so before we go into the lesson itself, let's have a look at the learning outcomes. I hope that by the end of this lesson, you will be able to illustrate a diagram to explain the Krebs cycle. So we're going to start with this thing and end with this thing. Okay, so secara ringkas, Krebs cycle adalah penghasilan ATP dan juga NADH menggunakan acetyl CoA. Tapi ini adalah explanation yang rasmi, okay, daripada definisi kepada diagram dia. So kita belajar step by step, ya. So the definition of a Krebs cycle is a series of chemical reactions in aerobic respiration in which acetyl coenzyme A is completely degraded to carbon dioxide and water with the release of metabolic energy that is used to produce ATP. So macam yang saya cakap tadi, dia adalah reaction aerobic respiration daripada acetyl CoA last jadi carbon dioxide dan air untuk hasilkan tenaga. The Krebs cycle can also be known as the tricarboxylic acid cycle or the citric acid cycle. And this will occur in the matrix of the mitochondria. From 2 turns of Krebs cycle, you're going to get 2 molecules of ATP, 6 molecules of NADH plus H+, and 2 molecules of FADH2. And not forgetting 4 molecules of carbon dioxide. Okay, ingatlah kita cakap 2 turns of Krebs cycle sebab kita ingat balik kita mula dengan glycolysis daripada 1 molekul glukos. 1 molekul glukos hasilkan 2 molekul pyruvate. Daripada pyruvate, bila dia lalui link reaction, dia akan hasilkan 2 molekul acetyl coenzyme A. Jadi 2 molekul acetyl coenzyme A itu akan melakukan 2 cycle Krebs cycle. And that's why we get 2 ATP, 6 NADH plus H+, 2 FADH2, and 4 molecules carbon dioxide. Bila kamu perlu jawab soalan, sila ambil perhatian. Take note whenever you're answering any questions. Is it asking about 1 molecule of glucose or 1 molecule of acetyl CoA? Is it talking about 2 turns of Krebs cycle or only 1 turn? So pay attention to the questions if you're answering any. Alright, so now you know what is a Krebs cycle. Let's learn about what happens in each step of the Krebs cycle. So over here, we have the diagram or the flow chart showing the 8 steps that are involved in the Krebs cycle. We're going to go through them one by one. I hope at this point you have taken out a piece of paper, preferably a blank paper. You may need the entire page to draw this for the first time. So get ready and let's get started with the drawing and the learning. We'll begin the Krebs cycle with acetyl CoA, which is a 2-carbon molecule. Acetyl CoA is combined with oxaloacetate, 4-carbon molecule, forming citrate or 6-carbon molecule here. The CoA part of acetyl CoA will be released. So ini adalah produk daripada link reaction tadi. Okay, dia akan gabung dengan oxaloacetate yang sedia ada dalam matrix mitochondria. So, bila diorang dua gabung, CoA dibebaskan dan dia akan jadi benda yang 6 karbon ini yang digelar sebagai citrate. So, this 6-carbon citrate was rearranged by the removal of water to form isocitrate. So, we take out water molecule, it's going to become isocitrate. In the 3rd step, isocitrate, which is this 6-carbon molecule, is oxidized and decarboxylated to form alpha ketoglutarate. Decarboxylated means CO2 is released and NAD+ is reduced to become NADH. So di sini Decarboxylated, kita keluarkan satu molekul carbon dioxide. Oxidized, kita keluarkan hydrogen atoms. So, who's going to receive that hydrogen? It's going to be NAD+. NAD+ will become NADH plus H+. So, what we are left with from isocitrate, it becomes alpha ketoglutarate, which is now 5 carbon molecule. In step number 4, we will have decarboxylation of alpha ketoglutarate, and that produces CO2 and succinyl. Succinyl is this 4 carbon molecule. Succinyl will join to CoA, forming succinyl CoA, which is a 4 carbon molecule, and NAD+ will be reduced to NADH. So, ayat ini panjang sedikit, tapi kita tengok satu demi satu. Daripada alpha ketoglutarate, kita buang satu molekul carbon dioxide. Sekarang dia jadi 4 karbon, iaitu succinyl. Succinyl akan gabung dengan CoA. So, dia akan menjadi succinyl CoA, still 4 carbon. And in that process, it's going to lose some hydrogen. Who will receive that hydrogen? It is NAD+. NAD+ becomes NADH. So now we have this succinyl CoA. We go on to step number 5. In step number 5, succinyl coenzyme A is converted into succinate. Energy released is used to phosphorylation of GDP to form GTP. Then GTP transfers its phosphate group to ADP, forming ATP. So, apa yang berlaku di sini? Succinyl CoA, kita akan keluarkan CoA untuk hasilkan succinate. Dalam proses itu, kita juga akan keluarkan tenaga. Tenaga tersebut digunakan untuk pindah phosphate group ke dalam GDP. So, instead of going straight into ATP, we are going to borrow this GDP first. Tenaga daripada pemecahan succinyl CoA kepada succinate, kita akan masukkan tenaga itu ke dalam GTP. Daripada GTP, tenaga itu akan dimasukkan ke dalam ADP untuk hasilkan ATP. So, GTP tadi jadi balik GDP, ATP akan berhasil pada step ini. And now with the succinate, we go on to step number 6. In step number 6, succinate, 4 carbon, is oxidized to form fumarate, which is still 4 carbon, and 2 hydrogen atoms are transferred to FAD to form FADH2. So, apa yang berlaku di sini? Kita keluarkan hydrogen atom, tenaga daripada itu akan dimasukkan ke dalam FAD, FAD menjadi FADH2. Alright, moving on. Now, after that, we are going into step number 7. In step number 7, we have fumarate, which is 4 carbon, and changed to malate by adding 1 molecule of water. So, daripada sini, tambah air, dia menjadi malate. Finally, malate, 4 carbon molecule, will be oxidized, and this regenerates the oxaloacetate that we had in the beginning of the Krebs cycle. And thus, it completes the cycle, and NAD+ will be reduced to become NADH. So, daripada malate, masukkan air. Sorry. Kita akan keluarkan hydrogen daripada malate, dan dia akan menjadi oxaloacetate. So, ini adalah part di mana kita buat semula, hasilkan semula, starting material kita, iaitu oxaloacetate. So that is the whole of the Krebs cycle summarized in 8 steps. Apa yang kita cakap tadi adalah citric acid cycle yang akan menghasilkan 2 molekul ATP, 6 molekul NADH, dan 2 molekul FADH2. And then in the next video, we'll be looking at oxidative phosphorylation. What we have learned during glycolysis and also Krebs cycle is generating energy through substrate level phosphorylation. Dan next video kita akan belajar yang kotak merah ini yang akan menghasilkan majority daripada tenaga daripada aerobic respiration. So just a very quick summary of what we did in today's video. We learned about the citric acid, or also called the Krebs cycle. Okay, and that is just very quick and very simple. What should you do now? Come up with your own notes and complete the chapter 5 aerobic worksheet up until the Krebs cycle. Please also draw your own diagram of the Krebs cycle in order to help you remember and also understand the content. That's pretty much it for this video, and I will see you again in the video for 5.1.3 coming up next. Thank you, and see you soon.